Hello everyone, I am back once again, and today we're going to be finally showcasing week 3 of the PAC League. My opponent for this week is actually going to be Ragewin of the Mews, and the draft, oh boy, the draft is actually particularly interesting, because I'm not really sure, or I wasn't very sure of how to approach this team, just given the fact that he has 3 bulky Pokemon on his draft, particularly the Mew, the Clefable, and the Suicune. As we all know, they're historically known for being effective walls in previous metas. I don't know if they still are today though. If they play more offensive roles this time around to accommodate the 20-minute timer, then I'm actually curious as to how they're gonna make it work, because usually these mons are very well known just for being walls and nothing more, honestly. Either way, so yeah, that's just basically the gist of the draft. Everything else is, I think, doable, as long as we get rid of the walls, because I think getting rid of the walls is the priority, because otherwise those things could very well drag the match to the point where it even gets to the timer, basically, and I kind of don't want that. Like, the goal is to basically finish this match before it goes to time, because I actually don't want this match to go to time. Honestly, that would kind of tarnish the experience a little bit, although obviously if it happens, it will happen, obviously, but you know, the goal here is just to make it not happen. Anyways, with all that said, let's get into the match, shall we? Alright, here we go. We're going to be waiting for our opponent to show up here, and we're going to see what's going to go down and whatnot. Obviously, like, the only thing I can hope for is that my opponent doesn't actually end up bringing all of the bulky mons, because if they do, then that would actually be terrible for me, obviously, because I don't know if my team can actually handle a lot of bulky offense. Like, the way I make my team so far is usually in a way that can allow me to be offensive, while also, like, you know, being on the move and whatnot. So, but I feel like bulky walls like Clefable and Mew can kind of hinder that a little bit. Like, I just have to wonder to what extent is my opponent willing to go to actually win this match, because remember that a lot of the opponents here, they do play to win, but they also are aware that they should probably consider accommodating the 20-minute timer so that it doesn't come down to the timer and the matches can have a proper conclusion, you know, since this game is not fortunate enough to give us a 60-minute timer, you know. Anyways, here I actually decided to host this time because it seems like my opponent doesn't know how to or something. I don't know. They didn't do it for a while, so I was just like, okay, I'll do it then. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, my team, I actually didn't have it prepared, so I actually had to like, you know, cut out a portion of this just to, because selecting all the mons and registering them takes a while, honestly. So yeah, anyways, it is what it is. As you can see, my opponent doesn't actually end up bringing all 3 of the bulky mons, but does bring 2 of them, so that could be kind of annoying, actually. Does bring the Mew, the Clefable. I was afraid of the Mew coming, so that's why I packed the Crobat with a Payapa Berry, because the goal is to actually Toxic that thing while it sets up rocks, and then defog immediately, take a Psychic, and then U-turn. Because if it sets up rocks, then most likely it's not going to be Scarf, which is a possible set, honestly, on a Mew. So I decided to just, you know, pack it with that in case it just tries to go for the Psychic or something. Like, I would be able to know what set it has, so yeah. Here, obviously, I'm trying to determine the lead, but obviously it's going to be Crobat. I already said that before. The Custap Berry on Magnezone was something I wasn't actually going to go for in this game, but I forgot to take it off. Because, you know, I actually made this team on kind of in a rush, actually. Because supposedly we were supposed to do this match on Wednesday, but it actually took till the final day, which was Sunday, to actually get it done. So I don't know what to tell you there, honestly. But yeah, so I made that team pretty quickly, so I'm just hoping that doesn't hurt me in the long run. So anyways, there's the Mew, which was what I was anticipating, fearing the potential Stealth Rock setup to then, like, attack with full force with the rest of their mons. I don't know what the approach is with this Mew. It could either be a setup set or a Scarf set. Both of those sets I was actually worried about. Seeing how I managed to get the Toxic first tells me that this is definitely not a Scarf set, so that's good to know. Now here, what they do have is on this Mew is actually the Thunderbolt, and Thunderbolt actually, it does a decent amount of damage, but it doesn't look like it's Specs, because if it was Specs it might have done just a little bit more. I could be wrong though, I'm not really sure. I did find this a little bit annoying because I actually packed the Payapa Berry to take less damage from Psychic. I was expecting Psychic to be the move, honestly, not Thunderbolt. Unless they saw that coming and decided to give it Thunderbolt just to ignore that set. If so, that's actually quite savvy, I will say. But yeah, anyways, I go into Magnezone now with the U-turn. It goes for Ice Beam now, so seeing the Ice Beam and the Thunderbolt tells me that maybe this is just a Bolt Beam Mew. I could be wrong, but I'm not really sure. Those are the only two moves I've seen so far from this Mew. I was expecting the Stealth Rocks all this time, but never went for it. As soon as I saw Thunderbolt, obviously I had to flee, because I didn't want to take another one had I went for Defog, because otherwise I would lose Crobat, and Crobat's kind of decent, I think, for what she has on her team, especially for that Breloom, you know, because I don't want to deal with Brelooms here. Now here, they're gonna switch out the Mew, go into Flygon, and here, obviously, I'm gonna switch out. I think I double switched here actually, going into Weavile. I think what I was predicting was like another Ice Beam possibly, or even Psychic. I wasn't expecting Aura Sphere or Flamethrower for some reason, so this switch might have been risky actually. I'm not really sure, but anyway. Here, I decided to go for the Ice Shard because if this thing is Choice Scarf, it'll most likely hit me with a powerful Earthquake or a U-turn, and I didn't want to take any damage. But as soon as I saw this Yachi Berry, this tells me that probably I should have just gone for the Ice Punch. The Ice Punch might have actually taken it out, even with the Yachi Berry. But again, if this thing was Scarfed, which was what I was fearing, it could have been pretty bad for me. Thankfully, she actually decides to go for the Swords Dance on this thing, actually, which is actually good for me because actually that kind of assures that I can take this thing out. Basically, she's forced to switch out now, which is actually good for me because, you know, I get to hit stuff on her team very well. I was actually hoping she wouldn't go into Clefable, but then I realized that this Blaziken was also an option, and I do end up going for the Ice Shard because if she was at +1, so she could have obviously gone for the freaking like the Outrage or something. Well, maybe not Outrage, but Earthquake would have been enough to probably KO Weavile. You know, Weavile is physically frail. I decided to get the hell out of there, go into Azumarill, hoping that this Blaziken doesn't have a coverage move for Azumarill. I think it was Poison Jab I was fearing, and I think Thunder Punch too, even though I think Blaziken doesn't even get Thunder Punch in this game. I could be wrong, but I think it doesn't. So, damn. Now here, I'm gonna try to go for the Aqua Jet, I think. Yeah, I think I go for the Aqua Jet. Oh no, I actually go for the Play Rough here. What happens is that I was aware that she had the Breloom on her team, so I decided to actually go for the what's it called? The Play Rough here, anticipating the Breloom to come in, fearing the Aqua Jet, because the Aqua Jet was actually a possibility of a move that I could have gone for, and I was actually considering going for it, but obviously I felt like Aqua Jet was probably too obvious of a play there, so I decided to kind of switch it up a little bit and go for the Play Rough this time to actually take out the Breloom if it came, and if something else came, it would have taken a lot of damage anyway. So here, now she's gonna bring out the Clefable, which is fine with me, honestly. I'm gonna go into Vileplume here because Vileplume actually resists the Moonblast, which was what I was kind of anticipating from this Clefable. But interestingly enough, here you're gonna realize that this thing has Thunderbolt, which is actually makes me glad I actually switched out, because I would have actually taken too much damage with that, especially if this Clefable is an offensive set. As you're gonna see right here, I'm gonna go for the Leech Seed because I was predicting her to switch out, either that or stay in, but I would have gotten Leech Seed and like I would have gotten Recovery, and when I switch out, I can actually you know, like have something else take some Leech Seed recovery and whatnot. But I missed the Leech Seed, which sucks, and then retaliates with a Flamethrower afterwards, and that kind of does put me in a bad position, obviously, because now I'm kind of forced to switch out or even sack this this Vileplume. In fact, I decided to sack it because I think the only reason I even brought this Vileplume was to handle the Breloom, but since Azumarill thankfully was savvy enough to take it out on its own before Vileplume did, obviously I felt like there was no need for it. Plus, this Vileplume wasn't even designed to outspeed Clefable, which I think had I been able to do that, I probably would have been able to use it to at least go for a Sludge Bomb, but I think that's what I should have done instead of going for Leech Seed, but I wasn't expecting Leech Seed to miss either, honestly. Either way, it is what it is. Now here I decided to send out Magnezone. Now here I kind of start to over-predict a little bit, I realize. Because here I go for the Volt Switch, kind of expecting the Blaziken to come, because I felt like the Flash Cannon might have been too obvious. Because why else would I send in a Magnezone on a Clefable? But interestingly enough, she ends up not even switching out. So again, this just kind of makes me look like a fool. Now here, she does go for the flamethrower, still playing it safe, because otherwise, if she overpredicts, she might actually mess up like I did. And she's trying not to follow my example, because you know I can be silly sometimes. But anyways, here I'm gonna switch out into Magnet Zone again, hoping she doesn't like continue going for flamethrower, because then that would definitely be bad for me. Yeah, I switched into a Sumo because I thought she was gonna switch into Blaziken, but she kind of never ended up doing that. So here I take another Thunderbolt. So again, she's just kind of playing it safe, which is I guess good, because it is working for her, honestly. She's crippling my team little by little, but surely. Here I decided to go for the Flash Cannon, and if she brings in Blaziken, then good on her part. But thankfully she still stays in, I guess thinking I'd over predict and go for Volt Switch again. But no, this time I actually stayed in and actually went for the Flash Cannon, which was good. Although it's still kind of bad, because she actually does get to freely send out the Blaziken now, and she can kind of take me out with close combat or Flare Blitz. Although interestingly enough, she ends up going for the Earthquake here. Here I was thinking on whether or not I should switch out, but on a Blaziken, even though this is not a speed boost Blaziken, thankfully, because that's banned here in this meta, that's very, very fragile. It still has it still hits a lot of my team pretty hard, obviously. As you can see, she's actually going to end up going for Earthquake with this Blaziken, and obviously that's going to definitely take out my Magnet Zone. Losing Magnet Zone was kind of bad, but again, I didn't really feel like I could switch out anyway. And plus, because this Blaziken is not speed boost, I decided to just go for the Brave Bird, or for the Crobat, basically. I don't remember if I actually speed invested this Crobat though. I might have actually. But either way, it does outspeed Blaziken, thankfully. And I don't think it was Scarfed either, because if it was, I think it would have, she would have switched out, because you wouldn't stay in with the Crobat, honestly. So here, I think, I don't remember what she sends. Oh, actually, I think she sends out what is possibly the most obnoxious thing on her team here, is this Articuno. Now, I'll be honest with you, for one thing, I didn't even expect her to bring Articuno, and second of all, I kind of underestimated this thing. I thought this thing couldn't do anything, honestly. And seeing the damage that I did with Crobat with the Brave Bird, it kind of made me feel that maybe I could take it out with Weavile shortly. Seeing the Freeze Dry actually did scare me a little bit though, because that actually can take care of a Azumarill. I was kind of hoping that because of this meta that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl has, I was kind of hoping that Freeze Dry would not be a move that this thing had. But it does have it, so that's kind of bad for me. I decided to send out Weavile here and go for the Throat Chop, hoping I can take it out. Unfortunately, this Weavile is not Life Orb, so there's a very good chance this thing lives it because of it. I think had this thing been Life Orb, I probably would have been able to take it out. Not really sure though. And annoyingly enough, this Articuno does have Roost, and seeing how that Throat Chop did almost nothing, this told me, you know what, I think I should just go for the Poison Jab and actually try to get the poison at the very least, because otherwise this thing's just gonna basically do this, recover spam until it's fully healthy. And I don't know if this Articuno can actually get coverage for Weavile. I actually didn't look up Articuno because I kind of didn't expect her to bring it, honestly. So that might have hindered me a little bit here. I keep going for Poison Jabs though, hoping for the freaking poison, but as you can see, I never get it, which is kind of crazy. Now, she's gonna go for the Hurricane with this thing, and it does do over half. It even gets the Confusion hacks, which is kind of terrible for me. But either way, I can't stay in with this Weavile, so she kind of forces me to bring what appears to be my trump card against this damn thing. But this also leads to the worst part of this whole game, actually. I basically send in this Sableye, which was invested in Spadef, particularly to deal with Suicune by knocking off its item, taunting it to prevent it from setting up, and then Will-O-Wisping it to just chip it down little by little, while also preventing it from resting a lot and whatnot. Because I was kind of expecting a Suicune with Crocune or something like that to actually handle my team, but thankfully she didn't end up bringing it. But this freaking Articuno turned out to be a real pain in the hindquarters, particularly because as you can see, she's kind of not missing those Hurricanes, even though that move is supposed to have like the same accuracy as Focus Miss. And somehow she's landing like a bunch of them. And because she's landing all of these Hurricanes, I'm forced to spam Recover, which is a pretty obnoxious strategy in my opinion. Like, I don't really like going for these kinds of tactics where I have to spam Recover. But that's kind of what I had to do. I was actually so close to just giving in and just letting her take out my Sableye. but I really didn't want to give in, honestly. She finally misses a hurricane here, and I take advantage of this opportunity to go for the Will-O-Wisp so that she at least gets crippled down a little bit, because honestly, yeah, this Articuno is just not taking any damage, and thankfully it's not leftover, so I really don't lose anything by going for it. She continues to go for hurricanes now, and still doesn't miss. Well, she's not missing as often, actually, as you can see. But yeah, here I'm gonna keep going for recover, hoping to for her to miss or to go for a different move that would allow me to live another hurricane. And I think the objective here with the Sableye now is to go for a knockoff, actually, to knock off the item to see what it is, because seeing how these hurricanes were never missing, well, almost anyway, because it did miss once, I was kind of having the suspicion that maybe this Articuno has scope lens, which raises the accuracy for hurricane, or could have anyway. But anyways, here I just keep going for recover. She finally goes for the roost, which was kind of what I was hoping she wouldn't go for, but of course she's gonna go for it because she's under half HP, and if I go for any other move that could compromise her, obviously it put her in jeopardy, and I don't think she wants that, obviously. So here I can finally go for the knockoff now, though, because she went for the roost. I wanted to see if she had a scope lens, which I should knock it off so that way she can start missing those hurricanes. But as you can see, she had a Charty Berry instead of a scope lens, so I was just like, bruh, was I just this unlucky this whole time? Because, yeah, another thing worth noting is that a lot of RNG has not been going in my favor in this match. I've been missing moves, and her moves never miss, and I even got confusion with the freaking Weavile, even though that wasn't really huge. I get this freeze as well, so it's kind of like, damn, man. I'm actually glad I actually got the taunt right here on this Articuno before I got hit with that freeze drive, because otherwise this thing would be able to recover as soon as I send in Weavile. But because I went for the taunt here, I can now actually go for whatever move, hoping I could unthaw here, but you know, that's not how my luck works sometimes. She continues to hit these hurricanes, so obviously there's little I can do there, honestly. Now here, this part, I kind of thought I lost it here, honestly. I really thought I made a misplay here, because I sent out Weavile, and I actually I was thinking I probably should have went into a Zoom Roll first, because the goal was to actually probably send in a Zoom Roll, go for Aqua Jet, and then you know, send in Weavile afterwards, and then take out the Articuno with a Throat Chop. But for some reason I felt like maybe, just maybe, it wasn't going to be enough if I went that way. So instead I sent out Weavile, but that wasn't what came to mind. That was only what came to mind after I sent out Weavile, so kind of crazy. But yeah, here I just go for the Throat Chop, and because this thing was still taunted while Weavile was able to get that Throat Chop off, the taunt I think is now gone. The burn continues to accumulate. From here, I definitely can take out this Articuno with a Zoom Roll. The problem is that the Mew is still there, and that thing still has Thunderbolt, and I'm not sure how much damage it will do, honestly. Here, I'm just going to take out this Articuno, because this Articuno was really pissing me off throughout the match, honestly. Had me super frustrated, because it was forcing me to do all that stalling shit with Sableye, which is kind of crazy. I definitely didn't want to do that, and I was also afraid that that was actually going to cause the timer to, you know, run out, and I didn't want that either. Thankfully, I was able to pull through very quickly. But anyways, here comes the Mew, and I think this could be the last threat of the team, because I think the Flygon was actually weakened enough for me to just take it out with an Aqua Jet. But unfortunately, because of how healthy this Mew is, I had to go for the Waterfall first. Goes for Thunderbolt. Thankfully, I live it, but unfortunately, I get freaking paralyzed here, which this had me super stressed out, I'll be honest with you. The Mew lives the Waterfall, and I was kind of hoping the poison would be able to take it out, but then I realized this is Toxic Poison, so the first turn of Toxic Poison actually doesn't really, you know, take it out entirely. If it was regular poison, it might have. But this is Toxic Poison, so the first turn is not really going to do anything. Which is annoying because I'm paralyzed now, I have to hope I don't get paralyzed, which, you know, my luck is actually very, very terrible, honestly. Although, thankfully here, I actually do get to hit the Aqua Jet at least, to take out the Mew at the very least, because damn. But unfortunately, I still have to take out the Flygon too, which, yeah, I mean, I have to hope to the RNG gods that I don't get paralyzed here, because if I do, then obviously I lose the match. And I feel like I shouldn't have lost it at that point. I feel like that paralysis should not even happen, honestly. But yeah, here, dude, right here when I clicked Aqua Jet, I was falling. I was getting ready to fall to my knees if I ended up losing this. But thankfully, I did not end up doing so. So I actually, Azumarill actually pulled through. I was actually sweating when that moment happened, when Azumarill got paralyzed. Because I thought that was probably going to be the whole game. Because you saw that throughout this whole match. Damn. Like, the RNG was just so against me in this match. I was just like, holy damn. This was, like I said earlier, this was like a match de los mil demonios. Like, there was just so much, there was so much craziness. I was playing a little bit poorly in some areas, but damn, like, the RNG wasn't helping anything, honestly. But anyways, that match was insane because of all of that, honestly. Thankfully, I won it, though. I thought I was actually going to lose it right there, too, honestly. I think it's a shame that I actually only won 1-0, though, but because the differential is kind of a big deal nowadays, but you know, at least we won at the very end. Anyways, thank you for watching that match. Hope to see you guys in the next one. For now, just take it easy and have yourselves a good one.